You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network. New shows every day. Find us at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Everyone's favorite time of year is right around the corner. College football season. To celebrate, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook, I may add, is putting new players in the center of the action with $200 in free bets instantly if you bet $1 or more on any college football game. Take advantage of this now. Limited time offer. You heard right. DraftKings is giving all new players $200 in free bets instantly when you place a bet of $1 or more on any college football game, no matter what. Head to DraftKings Sportsbook app now to check out all of the great promotions and daily odd boosts that they are offering. DraftKings Sportsbook is safe, secure, and reliable, located right here in the United States, so it's easy to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any college football game. That's promo code THPN to get your free $200 in free bets instantly for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Welcome to episode 73, season 2, Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. We've got some tiny little ditties to discuss, like ads on jerseys and NHL 22 cover athletes, but more importantly, we're probably going to try and do a string of episodes here in the live version that'll get me through my daughter's birthday. So we're going to go through the Red Wings roster. We're going to break down the depth chart. We'll take a look at the forward lines, defensive pairings. Obviously, we know where our goaltenders stand, but we'll take a look at it. We'll make a couple of free agent acquisitions. We'll break down special teams for everybody, and we'll look ahead to the end of the season. We'll look at what the roster could look like closer to, March and April. And then we'll look at the 2022 season. What would be like a best case scenario kind of deal? What could we be looking forward to? And some of the things we're going to talk about today have been supplied by you guys, the viewers, through all the engaging and the engagements and conversations. Brought some good ideas in front of me, put them on my table. So, you might notice, hey, Matt stole my idea. It happens.
I say it all the time. Get in line.
Get behind Mike. Nothing's happened there yet, so Mike's still waiting. He's still got his ticket, number 1. Still waiting to be serviced. Hey-o. All right, Mike.
Still waiting to see the manager. This is ridiculous.
All right, Mike. Ads on jerseys are here.
Finally.
Everything we knew was a-coming. Gary Bettman making the comment a year ago, you're going to have to drag me kicking and screaming before I put ads on my goddamn NHL jerseys. 1, 2, skip a few. 99, 100, here we are. We put ads on the jerseys. They really must have dragged him kicking and screaming. He must have been a bloody mess because it happened, Mike. As a basketball fan who already has this conversation, who's already had this conversation with himself internally, do you want to prepare the hardcore NHL fans? How do you prepare for this? How is this going to affect their viewing experience, Mike?
I would say, when you leave your house and you turn on the radio in the car and there's an ad, and then you drive your car and you look up and there's an ad, and then you sit down at your work computer and open your work site and there's an ad. It's going to be a lot like that. There's just ads everywhere. It's the nature of the beast. To be honest, when they broke this news, I said, "Oh, I thought we already had ads on the jerseys." I was thinking of the helmets with the UWM signal
That's right.
symbol on there.
Your employer.
So I will say, for hockey fans, there's some good news. Basketball jersey ads, I think, are 2 inches by like 2 1/4. So it takes up about that much real estate. The hockey ones are supposed to be like 3 inches by 3 1/2. So it's a little bit bigger, but when you factor in how much bigger a hockey jersey is than a basketball jersey, you do the ratio of ad and not ad, I think hockey wins. It's a smaller ratio there, so yeah.
Did Gary Bettman send you that?
The inner Gary Bettman is coming out, man.
If you think about it.
So they are slightly bigger, but they take up less, percentage-wise, less real estate than their NBA brethren. But Matt, you know what? This is fantastic news as the hockey, NHL, and Steve Yzerman continue to become more and more like basketball, with basketball-like contracts for all our free agents. We've made deals with ESPN. We're going to be on a real sports channel. I can't wait. And now there's ads on the jerseys, Matt. We're so close to being a real sport. We can taste it. I can't wait.
Oh, that was mean. All the hardcore hockey fans don't want to hear that.
We've been real the whole time.
Yeah. Number 5 is still a position, Mike. It's still a ranking.
Somebody
spot.
had to be after NASCAR. Exactly. Right? That should be the goal. Not be top 5. You should be above net. Be better than NASCAR. That's the goal.
I'll say, I guess the thing that's going on social media is everybody is already jumping on what my comment was a year ago about the helmets, which the comments are, I know I'll get used to it. It's not that big a deal, but I still hate it. And a year ago, I was saying, you guys are going to get used to it. It's not that big a deal. So hate it as you may. It's fine. So I was all disappointed because what's the point of me tweeting out if everybody already knows everything I taught them last year? So we're still in the same position. Of course, nobody prefers ads on the jerseys, but I'm sure right. We're not going to have to buy a jersey with an ad on it, right? Like this isn't going to be soccer, right?
Yeah. The only thing I want with an ad on it is my replica Brock Lesnar shorts with the big Jimmy John symbol.
Yeah, that is a pretty good spot for Jimmy John's, especially when the action figures need to have have representation as well. All right. So yeah, there's not too much I want to dive in here on. I did like people were adding Pornhub and whatnot. What was that? This is a day ago. This was announced. I'd be all, oh my God, if there was a hockey team that went with Pornhub, let's just go with like the Anaheim Ducks. Think about it. I feel like the Pornhub logo could take like a little bit of a change, or we'll just change the Ducks jerseys to match, cinch it in there on the top right corner. I think that's a beaut, and I would buy all the Ducks jerseys if I knew there was going to be a little Pornhub logo on there. So, like I said, is there too much to go into on this?
I will say that one thing that I hope they can keep, which I don't think they will, like the UWM symbol on the Red Wings helmet is still Red Wing white.
Right.
And UWM, has their own colored logo. The NBA, what they do, it's kind of like if you buy a leather jacket and they just kind of put a little patch on.
Yeah, like your Letterman's jacket.
Yeah, I don't know if every Red Wing sponsor, if they're going to also be red and white. Probably not. So that's probably the one thing I wish that we didn't have to get used to, because they're probably going to have the official logo of these various brands. But
yeah, at UWM when that happened, that kind of caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting them to be on there, but it would be pretty fun to see. Not that I like Rocket Mortgage or Quicken, but it would be pretty fun to see Rocket Mortgage slap themselves on the jersey, and we'll just have a little competition here. I mean, UWM said it themselves, right? They're trying to change the state, so it's not the auto industry anymore. It's the real estate industry.
I do hope that, what you said about, if they go Rocket, and we already know that they've like UWM's, put their spot on there. Like some of the NBA ones, it'll be like Kia, Cars, General Electric. Like I hope it is, like a little slice of pizza. I would actually buy like a Little Caesars, Nedeljkovic jersey. I think that would be kind of funny. I would buy that.
I would like to see like somebody small get a shot. It'd be nice if there were some teams out there that didn't necessarily need or want to participate, and they're just
that are so small they're managed by Tim Robinson on Detroiters. Like how small?
Yeah, that would be great. Just a little marketing
car
company
wash or something.
Exactly. Yeah. I was thinking Red Wings Rant would fit perfectly. We matched the color scheme. Just give us a shot. Why not?
Oh, that's small. Woo, man. We might have to do like a phantom thread and put a few of our Yzerman fleece threads in one of the jerseys. I think that's probably our best shot. Was there any other big news this week, Matt?
No, it was just the NHL 22 cover athlete. Everybody kind of has their picks. I like that people are actually sending, Steve Yzerman was going to be their pick. It's cute. But I had my pick in mind, and I thought I'd share it with everybody. I think it's a no-brainer, in my opinion. It'd be Kucherov. And not only are we not going to use a picture of him on the ice, we're going to use him from his press conference when he was waving the victory of his Stanley Cup victory in the fans of the Montreal Canadiens' faces. And I think this is perfect because it's NHL 22. And Mike, he's got the double deuce up already. You just fade that in. 2 comes out from either hand. NHL 22. Boom. You got it. And you've got a superstar right here. That right there. That is your EA Sports NHL 22 cover athlete. And not only did we pick the right guy, I've got the photo ready to go. I think EA should be sending me money right now. At least for properly predicting what we're going to see tomorrow morning.
We could probably lose the podium and get our first Pornhub ad right above Nikita. So I think it's easy peasy. There's 2 choices, man. You could go Nikita, right? Pantsless, or I think another good choice. Again, we're just trying to generate more revenue for the NHL products, Matt. I think we confuse people, all right? I think on the cover, we just put Cthulhu, the mascot for the Seattle Kraken. We put a big squid monster on there, so the knowing fans will know that it's a hockey game and take it home. But we also get fans of like Doom, first-person alien shooters, and then we have maybe a Cthulhu mini game inside the NHL 22 game. Are you in?
Absolutely.
Maybe it shoots out like a brown spray, like coffee, like that Seattle coffee. I think that would be pretty fun.
Are you aware that there was like a whole horror line through like WWE video games, including Cthulhu and like zombies and stuff?
No. I only played Royal Rumble mode.
Yeah, I mean, me too. It was a DLC. It was one of those, hey, our game sucks, but look what we did. All right, I think it's time that we could start breaking down these rosters. If you guys are listening to this first episode, which I'm calling it the first episode because, again, we've got plans coming up this weekend. And Mike's actually going to be a part of my plans. But what we want to do is just kind of break some of these down. I think they might even end up being, maybe they're going to be 10-minute chunks. And then once we sign Elias Pettersson, I'll add that to the episode, and then you guys can listen to the rest of the depth chart breakdown. Of course, you know what?
A few minutes for that. Yeah.
When that happens, though, Mike, what we're going to have to record right now are 2 different episodes. We're going to have to do a depth chart breakdown on what the roster looks today, and then we have to have a backup in case Pettersson signed, or I'm sorry, when Pettersson signed, once he does the offer sheet, and then, Vancouver gives him up, then we have to have that conversation. So, yeah, it's just going to be a long night, Mike. I'd say everybody, if you're watching the live show, settle in 3 or 4 hours so we can do the whole breakdown and then do the EP breakdown. But North Moto is here. He did want to point out, last time I was on, made a bonehead comment about giving Raz and Burt plus picks for Pettersson. Obviously, that's not possible with the RFA. And then here we go. I like this suggestion, too. Put the 2 brothers in New Jersey for 22. That is real cool. That is real cool. I wonder if they take. Oh, no. He's talking about the Hughes. We're not from New Jersey. I don't know if they take a shot. I don't know if they take a shot on a couple of Hughes. You meant
like put the two brothers on a new jersey.
You like think these two brothers, right?
Yeah, these two brothers on some
the two that everybody's staring at right now. No, the Hughes
like
brothers.
Looking over our shoulders with like number 2s on our jerseys, like going like that. Yeah.
Well, then they should do that, and then 23, they just go ahead and put the 3 of them on there when they were giggling and celebrating this past NHL draft. I think that would be adorable. All right, North Moto, you get an A+ for that suggestion. I really like that. That really got me. I was tickled by it. All right, Mike, where should we start? Should we start with? I would say what many have kind of put together is like a default roster. I want to see if I could pull something up here, and at least for everybody to start taking a peek at. Because I made a lot of graphics today, and Mike, I think, got a peek of a couple of them. I have so many, I can't even goddamn find the one I made. Oh my god. Anyway, this is really bogging down the whole show.
People are waiting on bated breath. They want to listen to you narrate as the sausage is made over there in the back of the butcher shop.
Where the hell is the stupid roster? Okay, you know what? I don't have it. It's fine. I have every single graphic except for the one that I needed first. But I'll just roll through it here because if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see it anyway. Forward lines. First line, Vrana, Larkin, Bertuzzi. Second line, Fabry, Suter, and Zadina. Third line, Mistikov, Rasmussen, Gagne. And the fourth line, Giovanni Smith. And this is the big difference from the first time we did this, but throwing in Mitchell Stevens and Adam Ernie on the right wing. Defensive pairings, Nick Leddy and Hronek, DeKaiser and Sider, Stahl, and Stetcher / Lidstrom. And then, of course, our goaltenders, Nedeljkovic and Grice. So, Mike, I guess to start, I'd have to repeat the conversation from a couple of weeks ago. It was really just me talking to myself. But this roster, according to, what else can we go by? Right? We can say we hope everybody takes a step forward. But according to Jay Fresh's model, it's going to get us 78 points. Of course, like I mentioned at the time, put us 12 points out of a playoff spot. And that, of course, is even mentioned measuring us on a playoff spot on a shortened season. So we were really far out from a playoff spot on that 78 points. The big juicy pieces here were that first line of Vrana, Larkin, and Bertuzzi. We're going to be one of the top first lines in the league. And then our goaltending was also going to be in the top half of the league. And a lot of that does have to do with some inflated numbers from Nedeljkovic. I mean, you don't have the 3 seasons to create there. So, with Jay Fresh's model, you've just got the 1 season. It was a great season. It's not as much data as some of the other goaltenders have out there, but we did pretty good on the goaltending and our first line, and everything else just kind of went downhill from there.
This line combination, I don't think anyone's really against it, but I'll believe it when I see it. I still don't know what we're going to get out of Bertuzzi, even though we did extend him for more than a year. I don't know what we're going to. For some reason, I don't want to see Larkin and Vrana together. I feel like those are the 2 guys when they're on the ice. That's our best chance to score. So I almost feel like we got to spread the wealth a little bit. From the first line, I don't even count 2s up there. I already see that it's going to be, Robbie Fabry or Zadina. And then I'd really rather see Vrana and Hughes playing together. I like that. I like that bit of sizzle, and I like spreading out the speed and stick handling from Vrana and Larkin. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Your first comment.
Have I been burned that hard by Bertuzzi? Am I the only one feeling this sentiment?
Yeah, Bertuzzi measures out pretty great. That's one of the things too, is like what we're going to see here, the real difference, and what I want to bring up next are some power play lines, because we've actually measured out when everybody's healthy to have an okay 5-on-5 team. We talked about it all last season. Like we get pretty close, and then our goaltending gets us even closer. But the big difference has been special teams. So if we're going to make a bunch of changes here, like one of the things I wanted to do was to get Fabry, Suter, and Bertuzzi playing together, and we've been making that joke about the Guelph Storm line, which we would hopefully call the Red Storm line. And then I would have our checkmates. I would have Vrana and Zadina playing together. So you'd have Vrana and Zadina. Maybe, like you said, you wanted to have Suter and Vrana playing together. It's not a bad idea, because when you take a look at Suter's, you take a look at the deep analytics, the first thing you could do is say, well, he was carried by one of the best wingers in the league, in Patrick Kane. Mike, your favorite winger of all time. But Vrana scored out better than Patrick Kane. So if you're going to at least make the argument that Suter was carried by Patrick Kane, and that's why his hardcore analytics looked a little bit better. I should say deep analytics. I don't know. I'm getting all turned on by analytics, apparently. Bringing up Pornhub and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right. Refocus. You're going to make that argument about Suter benefiting from Kane. Then maybe you're right, Mike. Maybe put him with who we saw could be one of the best wingers in the league when we watched him for those 11 games at the end of last season, would be Jakub Vrana. So I'm on board with that. I think another thing I wanted to point out today, and I'm gonna be a really bad podcast host right now, but my man knows who I'm talking about. He brought it up, putting Suter on the wing. We were talking about it on YouTube today in the comments. If you are listening, just throw up in the comments. That was me. But he wants to put Suter on the wing. He really does see Rasmussen ready to go in the second line. I think is another interesting conversation, because when you build out this bottom six, it really just felt like I was building out a who's left. And I hate to say that, but when we're not playing around with Lucas Raymond or Jonathan Berggren yet, it really does feel that way. And we here at Red Wings Rant, we love Adam Ernie. I think Giovanni Smith has been on our radar since the show started. We've wanted him to be a huge piece of this team, but it still just kind of feels like, all right, who's left? Toss him in there, right? And that's us even keeping Joe Veleno off the board here too. And the only reason that happened is probably because we're looking at how excited Jeff Blashill was once we picked up Mitchell Stevens. So you don't want to take away that excitement. He clearly sees a roster spot for him. He made the that comparison of, you have a guy who could make the team on the Tampa Bay Lightning and his eyes lit up, then of course Mitchell could make a Red Wings team. These are Jeff Blashill's words, not mine. Yeah. But like I said, I think there's a lot of different ways you could toss these names together. I like my top six. My bottom six, clearly you could toss out Gagne and put in Joe Veleno. But one of the issues that pops up too, Mike, and we'll get into the power play lines in a minute here, is how many goddamn left-handed forwards we have, and we need some fucking righties. So that's where Gagne gets slotted in there. And it really is. He's here because I messed around with some power plays, and that's just what you need. You need a good mix, especially with the 1-3-1 being like the only power play anybody wants to run anymore. You've got to get some righties, and it's just been tough to fill that void. But yeah, like I said, I'm not sure how much we want to break down the forwards more, but on the defensive side, probably the biggest change would either be Nick Leddy and DeKaiser switching, or the Leddy line getting moved up to the first pairing. If you guys are listening on the podcast, again, we have DeKaiser and Hronek on the first pairing, Leddy and Seider on the second pairing, Stahl and Stetcher on the third pairing, and of course Lindstrom would actually be the one I'd pencil in, to be completely honest, because he actually scores out better as a penalty killer, and Stetcher does neither special teams particularly great. So he's in there because he was an easier profile picture to find. But I think I'd go with Lindstrom first. Mike, anything on the defensive pairings?
I like the DeKaiser and Hronek as the top pairing for now. Until like week 2, when we're like, we should probably give Seider 30 minutes a game. I also think it's I don't mind like Seider and Stahl, where it's like the highest ceiling and the lowest floor going together. And then Stetcher's, maybe arguably our best defensive defenseman. And then Letty, he's going to be our power play quarterback. So I would kind of like to see those two styles kind of get together. I would maybe kind of muck around with, the 3, 4, 5, 6, but I think 1 and 2 is pretty steady. I guess the question for me is when we do set up the power play, at the point, is a defensive representative going to be Letty on one line and then Hronik on the other?
I mean, you could absolutely. I put in DeKaiser with some of the luck he had last year. At least from a grading standpoint, from analytics, he did fine. So that's where he got punched in there. But I think the only names I'm really staying away from. I mean, what I want to see is Moritz Seider. But I don't know if they're going to just hand him the leash. I don't even know if the second pairing is reasonable at this point. The more you think about it, like, are we going to be looking at Seider on the third pairing with the Kaiser and Letty moves up, and then Stahl and Stetcher are your second pairing / Stahl and Lindstrom?
Yeah, you know who we didn't pencil in and probably should have is that Jordan. Is it Osterley?
You're right. Yeah. He was at the Lions training camp today.
I mean, he's getting almost $1.5 million. And he's not going to be getting that to play for the Griffins. He's going to be getting paid that to take minutes away from some of the young guys that we're excited to watch. So buckle in for a little Osterley there.
Hey, that's a great point because I was begging for some drama a couple of weeks ago in the YouTube comments because we bring up the Pettersson offer sheet all the time, and I go, how great would you hate it right now, but think about how great it would be to have like some drama and be like, oh my God, we lost 4 first-round picks. Elias Pettersson better goddamn fucking work out. But you're bringing up at least some position battles in training camp. Osterley, I mean, I think a lot of people would peg Wyatt Newpower as for sure going down to Grand Rapids off the top of everybody's head. But there's at least going to be a shot there. So at least there's 2 names we could still be slotting in there, and I at least right now
it is Osterley. My apologies.
I thought that's what you said.
Oh, I said Lay. I thought it was a hearty A over there. Yeah, I'd be prepared to see him gobbling up some minutes. Ooh. I mean they have Wyatt Newpower. I guess buckle in for some minutes from him, Matt. And Matt, is it likelier that Lindstrom's going to get the early shot before Seider? And they're going to let Seider be like, the number 1 defenseman in Grand Rapids? Well, that's the thing is I would come back, and that's a great question, because I would come back to the press conference with Jeff Blashill, or I'm sorry, he was just interviewed by Art Regner. But in that interview, they went over the idea of, can I have 8 minutes for some of our young players just to see what they look like? And what Jeff said in that interview was that Yzerman's not prepared to do that. He wants to get these guys as much ice time as possible. And, especially with the guys that are going to be scoring higher for us, I would say from, an analytics scoreboard. I'm not saying we'll be scoring more goals, but they'd score out higher from a skills and talent standpoint. And Yzerman's stance right now is those guys need as many minutes as they can get. So if they're not making the move to have these guys in a prominent position, I mean, that's where if Seider's on this team, he's got to be on that second pairing or higher. I don't know about playing the 7th D game with Seider. There's so many things that point to him just, give it a go. Let's see what happens. We'll get him through training camp. And this team has enough room. I would say we made this argument last year. This team has enough room to fail if he doesn't come screaming out of the gate and he needs time to get comfortable. They have the whole season to give him time to get comfortable. So that's my stance on it right now. I would keep Seider away from that, Lucas Raymond away from that, and Bergeron away from that.
But if they have a prominent space for them, that's where they would have actually bet on this roster. I think they'd really have to play their cojones off in training camp to, I should say, Lucas Raymond and Berggren to land a spot. I think Seider just needs to look like he's got his feet underneath him. And that, I wouldn't say there's anything that would suggest he wouldn't be ready to go, but there's always that transition, from one league to another, whether or not you're talking about the space that you've got to get used to, the size of players, the experience of players. If he kind of gives a vibe of being ready to go, slot him in that second pairing, really test him. And I don't know, maybe this is a good point to transition into some power play conversation, because I don't see him get going on the first PP, but maybe that second PP.
I don't think any of the fans would complain about that, but I think Blackshaw would be like, if I may, excuse me, come, sir. I think that he would probably want to be just a little bit more patient with that. Before we throw him in the fire, we haven't seen him, take a single shift in the NHL. So I'm just mentally preparing myself. Matt, I think it's the second week in a row we used Curb Your Enthusiasm outside of the television program. Also an idiom you can use. So I'm going to curb my enthusiasm for my expectations for Seider. And
it's responsible.
I'll just be happy to see him this season. This season, I'll just be happy to see him, see some flashes. Because I don't think we're going to get the NHL 22 video game version where he's on the top pairing and his overall goes up over the course of the season and he's a 95 by the end of the year.
All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I thought this was fun. I feel like maybe I'm only going to get like 2 or 3 episodes out of this. I was really hoping 5. I wanted to go about 5 hours on this, but maybe 2 or 3. So
I can't wait for that emergency pod when we sign Elias.
Everybody watching now, you'll see it pop up, new episodes over the next week or so, but it's just going to be a retread of this stuff. I really appreciate all the likes. I love the conversation you guys are having. I love turning everything that goes on in the comments into some new experiments on the War roster builder. So yeah, thanks for tuning in.